Hi, welcome to the training webinar for this week. I'm Dale Franks, and this week we are going to talk about the various uses of Excel in Process Director as a data source. Excel is very useful for a lot of things, primarily for filling dropdowns or for filling arrays, for having data in SQL Server that you can access quickly. Let me share my screen. We'll start talking about Excel, but we'll also talk about a couple of other things here that are important. One of the primary ways in Process Director that we have for storing data, especially data that we're going to use to fill dropdowns, are the dropdown objects. Right, so drop-down objects are great because they do allow us to have a display text and a value if we want to, and it provides a fixed list that we can use to fill a drop-down. In most cases, this works fine. One of the limitations to it is that you have to go in and manually edit it in Process Director. And you also have to be careful, although this is true for Excel as well, as we'll talk about in a second, you also have to be careful about deleting items once you have created them. Because if you delete an item from a dropdown, then it is no longer a valid item for new form instances, and the data that was saved in old form instances also gets orphaned. The value is still there in the form instance, but it doesn't appear in the option for the dropdown anymore. So there are ways around that we can fix, but in any event, this is what we have used or used to use for dropdowns. Generally, this is for static lists. Dropdowns are great for small, short lists of items that are not going to change much. Right, so maybe a list of states. That doesn't change much. It hasn't changed since 1959, I don't believe. So it's great for that. But if your data changes over time, new items come in, it becomes a little harder to handle. It also becomes really hard to use if I need to filter the items that appear in a dropdown. Dropdown objects are not filterable. Excel gives us a way to get past this, to be able to filter objects in a much better way, as we'll discuss in a moment. So why would I want to use Excel? Well, I might have a list that grows over time. It might be a relatively long list because here I have 100 items. And also, I have more than two columns in this list. So what I can do with this list that has multiple items is I can import it into Process Director as a single table that has 4 columns, and using the ID, I can identify a specific column. So let's talk about this ID field and what it is. You don't necessarily have to have an ID field, but it is super useful. This ID field is what we call a primary key in database speak, which means it is a single value that uniquely identifies a single record in the database. So in this particular case, my database consists of a list of vehicle models, and there are 100 of them. I know there are 100 because my ID is just a incrementing list that starts with 1, and every time I add a new value, it just goes to 2, 3, 4, and so forth. I did not want to do that. And the important thing is that the primary key has one value that only appears once in the entire table. So if I am looking for record 100, I know that it is a 2007 Mercury Grand Marquis, and there is no other vehicle that will match record number 100. So this primary key is important for being able to uniquely identify records. It is especially important if I need to do filtering of a second dropdown based on the value that is in the first dropdown. So I might have two sets of data, which I happen to have here. Now, this Excel file has two worksheets. One is named family, one is named species. And I have a family ID, which has its own primary key, 123. So I can fill a dropdown with these family names, Canidae, Felidae, and Mustelidae. And I can choose one of these three options from a dropdown. Well, what is a Canidae or a Felidae or a Mustelidae? Well, that's where the species comes in, because I have 20 different species. They each have a primary key that uniquely identifies each one, but they also have the family ID. Now, this is what we call a foreign key, which means this record right here, I want to relate to a record in another table. So I want to link this record to record one, the family ID, and record one is Canidae. So what I could do is set up two separate dropdowns where I have a dropdown where if I picked Canidae and I had a second dropdown that showed the species, I could filter it so that only dogs, coyotes, wolves, etc. would show up in the second dropdown. And if I pick Felidae, I would get my cats. And if I picked Mustelidae, I would get my weasels. So the Excel spreadsheet enables you, as long as you can, make these links between the first set and second set of records, it makes it very easy to import all of the data at one time. The other thing that it makes easy is if I want to go in and make changes to some of these items or add to these items, I can do it. And I can change both the family. So I could add a family ID of 4, and I could add Ursidae, too many A's. Let me get rid of one of those. So I've added Ursidae. Oh, great. Well, I better give it a fresh ID. So that'll be ID number 4. And then we'll go to the species. And now I can just start adding new species. So grizzly bears, and that would be ID number 4. And there's also 2 Z's in grizzly. And we'll do one more just so that I have multiple options. And this will be option number 22. And we'll just say black bears, and black bears are also bears. So they would fall into the family Ursidae. All right, great. Now I can import all of this at one time. So let's import some data and see how it works. Now, when we import data, and I'm just going to go ahead and save this and close it, I want to look back over here. Importing data is generally pretty easy, but you have to be aware of some little technical wrinkles that exist whenever we're importing data from Excel. In Process Director, I can import data from Excel, and I can create a SQL table that stores the data that I import. And I can check out the data and check it back in if I want to make some changes. When I check it back in, I can set it to re-import so that it updates all of my data. It's pretty cool, except for one thing. Now, I could import this spreadsheet and there wouldn't be any problem with it, but I do want to point out some potential problems. What happens whenever you import an Excel spreadsheet is that SQL Server is going to look at the first couple of rows, and I think it's the first 15 rows or so. And it's going to say, okay, well, what do we got? We have an ID field. That's an auto-numbered field. That's a key field. We're good. I've got this is a bunch of text. This is a bunch of text. These are a bunch of numbers. And I'm going to bring them in as numbers. I want to do math on them. So the first problem here is, are these numbers? Maybe, maybe not. Generally, we only want something to be a number if we're going to do math on it. And there are a lot of things that we think of as numbers that aren't numbers really, like zip codes. So San Diego zip code, 92111. Is that a number? Well, technically, yes, but we're not going to do math on it. And whenever we do sorting, we are going to want to sort that alphabetically, right? Because I might have various zip code formats, right? Like 92111 is standard San Diego zip code, but we have the +4 here. We have 92111-3847, whatever that is. All right, if we try now, look at what Excel is doing, which kind of gives us a hint as to there may be a problem. This is not a number. And Excel already knows it's not a number because it's got that dash in there. So it's going to bring this in as a number. This, on the other hand, and the way that I can tell is because of how they are aligned. Numbers in Excel align to the right. Text aligns to the left in general. So this tells me that I have one number and one piece of text. Now, whenever I'm pulling this data into SQL Server, this is going to get really confusing. If these are my first two rows of data, SQL Server is not going to know whether this is a text column or a numeric column. It's going to get very persnickety, and the import may fail because I'm giving it what it considers bad data. It doesn't know what to do with these. Or even worse, it will simply subtract 92,111 from 3,847, which we also don't want to happen. These are not numbers. I'm never going to do math on them. There is no such thing as 92111 times 92112. So I've got to have a way of handling this. Now, this table over here, and let me go ahead and delete these. Now, this table over here is not problematic because SQL Server will go through these first 15 or 20 rows and will go, hey, this is all fine. This is a text column and this is a text column, but it is going to make that a number column. We may not want that. Even worse, notice down here at record 30, the 1991 Audi 90. There's also the Saab 900. There's also the Porsche 928. And, there's the Chrysler 300 and the GMC 2500 pickup trucks. If these rows are intermixed in somewhere in the first 10 rows and they appear up here, then again, when it tries to read, it's going to come down and it's going to see that 90 and go, wait a second, that's a number. But all of the other things were text. And, wait a second, that's another number. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this field. So we have to tell the database how we want it to treat these fields. Now, look, if it is all text or if it is numbers and you do want to do math on them, you don't have to do anything. But anytime that you have, like car models, which may be text and which may be numbers, or which may be numbers and text, you really have to treat it like text. You're not going to do math. There's no such thing as Corolla plus Land Cruiser. So we want this to be treated as text. For Excel data sources, and we have a documentation topic on this called Microsoft Excel Data Sources. If you scroll down, way down here, it gives you some keywords where you can set a data type. And if you set that data type in the header column, then that is the data type that SQL Server will apply when it imports your table. So we could go back over here to our cars table, and we'll expand these columns a little bit so that we can type in them. And we'll go to model right here. And because we have a mixture of both text and numeric model numbers, we can just go BP underscore string. Now, if we just go to BP string, that will work. What it will do, however, is it will create in SQL a data type called invarchar max. We don't care much about invarchar or what it is. We do really care about max, because that means it is going to set aside the memory space for a lot of data. And we probably don't have that much data. So we also have the ability to size the data that we want. So I don't think that any of our car models are probably more than 25 characters. Let's see, LTD space CROWN space VICTORIA. Okay, well, that gets me to 18 characters. Let's be safe. Let's just save 50 characters for this field. So we can just pull this as BP string 50. And that way it will allow a max of 50 characters, but it will only set aside 50 characters in the database. So it will save us some memory space in the database when it creates the table. So I can set that there. I don't have to set it for every field. Obviously, this first field, make, it's all Toyota, Mitsubishi. There's no numerical stuff here. There's no way to really make a mistake on the import. So I don't really have to do it for this field. Technically, because my Audi 90 doesn't appear until record 30, I don't think I'd have to do it for this field either. But because I do have these numeric values, 90, 900, 928, 1500, and so forth, I probably, better than being sorry, would rather be safe. So I would go model BP string, and I'd put 50 here. 50 is probably too much. Probably 30 would work, but let's give ourselves some breathing space and do it as 50. Now here for the model year, I'd want to do the same thing. I'd want to type a colon, and once again, it would be BP string. But this time, we're going to set, since there are never going to be, if my database is still using 5-year characters, then I think at that point, 10,000 years in the future or 8,000 years in the future, I don't think the database will be in operation. So I think a BP string 4 would work. If you're a database person, what I say next will make sense to you. If you are not a database person, it won't, but you can also use, so I have my field name here, and then I'm going to type a colon, and then I can actually use a SQL data type. I can actually say decimal 14, comma 2. Or I can say in varchar 50. That will work as well. That's just specifically knowing what the SQL data type is. If you don't know what the SQL data type is, it's not that big of a deal because we have strings, Booleans for yes and no fields. We have decimal. It is set to decimal 18.4. That's basically a currency format. So if you have money, you can just set it to BP decimal and you're fine. If it is an integer, which means not a decimal number, just a whole number of some kind, you can set it to BP int. And if it is a date or date and time, you can set it to BP date time. I think for 99% of what you're going to do, this is going to be fine. BP string, BP bool. The only thing with BP string is that by default, if you just type in BP string, it will set the value to max, which means you could put an entire book in there, and you don't really want to do that in most cases. So what you would want to do with BP string is just, BP string size, just as we did with this up here. We just set BP string. We said this one is going to be 4 characters, and this is going to be a max of 5 characters. So these help you a lot. These data types help you a lot, especially if you have like zip codes, which are not numbers. You want to store those as strings. And the reason why you want to store those as strings is because if they were to come in as numbers, they would be sorted numerically. And you probably don't want to sort things numerically. You want to sort things alphabetically. And so when it sorts alphabetically, it doesn't care what the value is. It will just start at the first letter. So for Suburban 1500, it will look for S. It will sort, from A to Z, where S falls normally in that sequence, and then it'll go to SU and say, okay, let's take all the things that start with an S, and now let's order those. This is SU, so it goes below SA, for example. So just keep those in mind whenever you are doing the import. These are very useful to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull these 2 items into our internal user database in Process Director because we have the data. Now we want to pull that data into Process Director. So I'm going to go ahead and save this Excel file, and then we're going to go to did I already close our animals file? It looks like I did. Okay, well then fine. It's closed. So now we can go back in to Process Director and we can pull our data. So I'm just going to go and upload both of these items. So we'll go with create new document and file. And we'll browse, and I have both of these in my downloads folder. So we'll pull car data first. And actually, I think we can pull both of them. We can pull animal data as well. And we can now upload them. And they're both uploaded into Process Director. Now, at this point, they're still just Excel files. They just happen to be Excel files that just happen to live in Process Director. We haven't done anything with the data yet. So let's do that. So we're going to go with our cardata.xlsx. And by the way, if I ever want to edit my data, I would just go to the Edit tab and I would hit Checkout. And then I would download the document, which of course is already downloaded, and I could make whatever changes I wanted to make in that document. Once I'd finished making my change, I would hit Browse, go back to my car data, and hit Upload New Version, and that will upload the new version. That's the check-in, check-out process. But again, it hasn't done anything in this particular case. A, I didn't make any changes to it, and B, we have not set up the import features for our Excel spreadsheet. First thing we're going to need is a data source. Now, in most installations, you should already have an internal user DB. So if I go into my data sources folder, I've got my internal user DB global. So this is the big one that contains all of the tables in the internal user database. And boy, do I have a lot of them. So I'm going to pick that as internal user DB global. And now it wants to know what the destination table prefix is. So let's go back and look at our Excel files. And since I've closed them, I guess I better reopen one of them. And I think we'll open animal data. One of these worksheets in this Excel file, it has two of them, is named family, and one is named species. Now, normally, whenever you create a table in an Excel spreadsheet, so you open up a new Excel spreadsheet, the name is going to be sheet one. You cannot have a sheet one imported into Process Director. You must rename the worksheets in your Excel file. So I can't have sheet one or sheet two or whatever. I would have to name it something else so that the sheet has a name. I would not name it something else because something else has a space character, and space characters bad. So it can't be sheet one, and it can't have any spaces. In fact, it has to use the same naming constraints that we would use in a form field name. It can't be more than 64 characters long. It can't have spaces. It can't have any special characters other than the dash and the underscore. Everything else is forbidden. So we have to, oh, and by the way, each of these have to be unique. Each of these names have to be unique as well. So think of naming your worksheets much like naming fields on a form. I don't particularly need that worksheet, so I'm going to get rid of it. Now, as I said, I've got two worksheets, family and species, and that's fine as far as it goes. But when I do the import, Process Director is going to want to put a destination table prefix in there. By default, the prefix is Excel underscore. So when I import this worksheet, if I have Excel underscore as the destination table prefix, then when this is imported, I'm going to have two tables, one that will be called Excel underscore family, and another that will be called Excel underscore species. So just keep in mind that this prefix is going to be appended before the name of the worksheet. Excel is the default. You don't have to keep it. In fact, you don't have to use it at all. We are going to use it. I'm just going to call it W6 or W06 2026. And I'm calling it that so I can find it easier later and delete it because I already have these tables imported. But that's going to be my destination table prefix. So when I get around to importing this, which we will do very soon, I will have W06 2026 underscore family and underscore species when I bring this table in. Right now, we're using the car data table. And I don't actually remember what the spreadsheet name is for car data. It's just called data. Okay. Well, I don't like that it's called just data. It will work. Probably not a great sheet name. So I think for my car data, I think I probably should rename it to like vehicles or something like that. Maybe I should. and then re-import it. So let's rename this, and we'll just call this vehicles. And I will save this Excel spreadsheet and I will close it. And we'll go right back over here. Now, because I have the spreadsheet, I already have it open, I can go ahead and edit it. And then when I check out, all I have to do now that I've edited it and saved it is I just have to re-upload it real quick. So I can just upload the new version. So there, now we're happy. And now it can be W06 2026 underscore, and it will be underscore vehicles. And then when I get around to doing this one, it will be underscore family and underscore species. So I'll know the three tables that I have imported here. I didn't save the destination data source, so I do need to go back to my data sources and get my global internal user database. Okay, now we're set up the way that we want to have it set up. There are four options that I have for what I want to do whenever I bring my Excel data into Process Director and how I want to import it. I do want to keep create database tables if needed, because if that's not checked, nothing will get imported. So it's kind of important that we check that. The drop database tables before import is also probably important. Because what this will do, and I actually have two ways of doing things. I have my drop database tables, which if this is set, it will actually delete the old database table and then will re-import all of my data again. And the table will, of course, have the same name, but it will just recreate the table with the data as it currently exists. I actually have two ways that I can do this, and we'll talk about that in a second. I also have clear database rows and tables before inserting. If you're going to drop the database table, there's no reason to clear the database rows. The difference between these two options is that if I select clear database rows, it will not import a new table. It will not drop the table from the database completely, then recreate it and bring in all of my new data. It'll keep the same table, but what it will do is it will clear all of the database rows in the table, and then it will insert all of the new rows. In most cases, I do want to do at least one of these two things. I either want to just drop the database tables and recreate it, or I want to clear the database rows in the table before inserting. However, depending on how I'm going to edit my data, I may do neither of these things. In which case, it is going to create the database table the first time I insert, but the next time I import, it is going to import all of the data and append it to the existing data in the table. So obviously, it doesn't matter the first time that I import, but let's say, and let's copy this animal data tab, and I wanted to copy it. Will it create a new? Okay, species 2. So this is the data that I originally enter, right? Family ID, family name, 4 records here, and species, 3 records here. What if, however, the next time I import it, I don't really want to re-import all of this data? I mean, I don't have to. It already exists in the table. I do have the option of just saying, okay, well, fine, here's what we're going to do. We have all of these items. They've already been imported. What if I just started with well, let me just go ahead and delete all these. What if I just appended records? And so my last record here was 22, right? So what if I just wanted to append new records and I didn't care about deleting the old data? I wanted, in fact, to keep it. All I need, once again, how many records do I have? 22. So all I have to do is start off with record 2023 and call it Gray Fox, which is a Canaday. And now the problem is that on the second import, all of these would have to be blank too, because I wouldn't want to re-import all four of these records because they already exist, right? So on a second import, this would be blank. The only thing I would bring in would be species. And in fact, I could just bring in the species record and it would just add this new record to species. So technically, if all I'm going to be doing is adding new records, as long as I know what I'm doing, I can do it this way. I think that is very much a minority of the use cases. I think most people would just go ahead and add a new record here, and they would just say, either clear or drop the database tables before inserting. And if this data has not changed, then I really don't care that I'm repeating the data. And as long as I'm not pulling in thousands and thousands of records off of Excel, I don't think we have to really worry about performance or anything like that. So either one of these will work. I generally go with drop database tables and I kill everything and just reconstitute it with my existing data. Now, there is one thing that you have to be careful with, though. Remember, this data already exists. And if I'm using this in, say, drop-downs, or I am, importing some of this data and filling out arrays on the form, that data exists on my form. And if it's a drop-down, then it's going to show up if I delete one of these. So let's say I delete record 8 or record 9, right? Domesticated cats. Well, okay, fine. I guess I can do that, but I still have form instances where people have picked domesticated cats, and that value no longer exists as an option in the dropdown. Now, it does exist in the form. This value was saved. In most cases, the value of that form field will be 8, and the display text will be domesticated cats. So the value will exist in the dropdown, but of course, it's now orphaned. And we can tell data is orphaned in process director because when we look at a dropdown, if the option has been removed since the form was submitted, it will show up with square brackets in the display text. So if I see this in a dropdown, it lets me know, somebody chose domesticated cats. But at some point, since this form was submitted, this item was removed from the dropdown. That's not ideal, especially if there is something later on in the process that also takes a look at this table and it says, okay, well, I have a value here called 8, but it was deleted from the table. There is no record 8, and it can make things go all higgledy-piggledy whenever your process is trying to access the orphaned value in that field. So you do have to be very careful about deleting these items. It is better if you don't do that. All right, well, great. We now have our cars database ready to import. Now, I can just import it from here, from right now, and we'll be fine. But what I probably want to do is check automatically import this Excel file after every check-in or import. Because if I am going to make changes to this file, I'm going to add new records to it over time, which is the most common use case. Well, then every time I add those new records, I do want to re-import the data. I do want it to exist. So I want to have that checked so that whenever I go back up here and do my checkout and my check-in, everything works the way that I expect it to work, and all of my updated data exists. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and save this Excel spreadsheet. And once again, no data has been imported. I have everything set right, but nothing real is going to happen until I hit Import Tables Now. And when I do, it should tell me the Excel DB imported successfully. Okay, great. Well, I have another one that we want to set up. So I'm going to copy this so I can paste it real quick. I'm going to hit OK. So there I've got those records brought in. And now I'm going to open up this one, and I'm going to go with drop and automatically insert. I am once again going to set this to my internal user database. I'm going to change my destination table prefix to that, and I am going to import those tables now. And it says the Excel DB imported successfully. Great. I can, in fact, confirm this by just going into my data sources, going into my internal user DB global. I'm going to want to save this, obviously. So let me hit OK to be sure that that is saved and closed. Before we go to internal user DB global, we go to select tables. And now we're going to scroll way, way down to where the W's would exist. And there we go. There is my family. There is my species. And there is my vehicles table. So I know that all of this data has imported correctly, and it all exists inside my data source. So I am a pretty happy camper. Normally, I only have one internal user data source. So normally this would be it. I would be done, and I would just use my internal user DB global data source to create the business values and stuff that I need from these Excel spreadsheets. So now finally, I can turn that off, and we can go back over into my Excel data folder. No, I actually need to go into the data folder, because now I've got to convert this Excel data, which has now been imported to SQL data. I've got to be able to convert it into a form that I can use in Process Director. Now, normally I would do this up here in business values, and business values are kind of global objects. So this would normally be where we would create them. That is not what we are going to do in this case. So I am actually going to create an encapsulated folder that has everything that I need, which also means that I'm going to have to edit these two again, because I wouldn't be able to export this or anything if I did not have all of the pieces. And I've gone over what you would normally do on your system. Now I'm going to localize it to make it exportable. Normally you would not do what I am about to do. And for some of you, if you're on a cloud installation, you wouldn't be allowed to do it because you're not a managed server user. But I'm actually going to create a unique data source that will only look at the tables that are created from here. So we're just going to call this the W6 to 2020 W06 2026 data source. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to set this to my internal user database, which it's already set to. But in this case, I am going to set the tables. So I am going to scroll way down here, and I'm going to select these three tables because we're going to be using these tables, and we're going to need to create a data source for them for the business value. So those are the three tables that I am going to use here. And now that I've built it, I'm going to go and change what would normally be how you would set it up. And we are going to set it up locally so that everything here is exportable. And by the way, if I do that and I update this, does it work if I import the tables again? Yes, it does. Everything was imported successfully. I'm happy. All I've done is change to this local data source. And we'll have to change this one too. So we'll go down here to training webinar, Excel data, and there is my local data source. And we'll just hit OK here. And so now we're hooked up to a local data source. Once again, I reiterate, this is not normally what you would do. You do not normally want data sources spread throughout your entire system. Create a data sources folder at the root level of your partition. Place your data sources in that folder. That's going to make your life a heck of a lot easier over the long term. Same reason why we have drop-down objects there. And any business values that are global, business values are always global. So our business values should go somewhere in a business values folder. Any global business rules that can be accessed by any application, they should go into the root level of your partition. It just makes managing these extra items a lot easier. And if they're in the same spot on both your dev server and your production server, you don't have to re-import them, right? All you have to do is re-import your application. So in general, you would never do this. And you would never place all of your business values in this folder either. They would generally go here in the business values folder. So just keep that in mind as I create all of this local data that we're about to create. So I'm going to want to use this stuff at some point. Most of the time, I'm going to want to use it in a form. So let's make a form. So there's our data subfolder. This has all of our cool stuff. It's going to have our business values too. But for right now, we're just going to make a form definition. And we're just going to call this Excel data form. And now I have a form. And I'm also going to want to have a timeline here for something that, depending on how much time we have, we're going to do later. But I plan to do this later. So I'm also going to make a process timeline. And I'm just going to call this the Excel. Well, that's not Excel. Excel data TL. And we're going to save that. And I'm just going to add one activity to it. And in my options, I'm going to set the form for timeline to my Excel data form. And I'm just going to save it for now. I'm not really going to do much with this timeline, but it does kind of need to exist whenever we start dealing with Excel at the form level. So I'm going to go into my options here, and I'm going to set the Excel data timeline as the form to start when the form is submitted. And I'm also going to associate the Excel data TL, and I'm going to go ahead and update my form. So that is all saved. Now we can go back in and start playing with our form. So the first thing we're going to do is just do a normal drop down. And I'm going to throw in my drop down control. And drop down one is fine. Actually, I'm going to call this cars. So that's my cars drop down. I know I'm going to pull this data out of my Excel file. So I know I'm going to build a business value. So I don't actually need to do anything in the configuration. I mean, obviously, if there's some weird formatting thing I want to do, or I want to make it an event field, and by the way, I do, I'll click that. But for the most part, all the configuration on the dropdown I don't need to do anything here. And if I did do anything, it would get overwritten anyway whenever I ran the form, at least anything in the items here. Obviously, I could use autocomplete and also allow event to fire on selection change. So I could certainly do that. All right, well, I've got my drop down. So here's what I want to do. A, we want to fill the drop down. So that's going to require us to do one thing. The other thing that we're going to want to do is set some data. So we'll go make, and you know what? I probably should set this up in a table. So let me just do that. I've got make, model, and year, right? So I need one row and I need 3 columns. There we go. So now I can do this with make, and I will throw in a text box called make. And then over here, we'll have model. Normally, of course, I would use label controls to make it accessible. But in the interest of time, we're just going to blaze through this because it is already 10:51. Time is rapidly closing in on us. So now I've got make, model, and finally year. Well, that's not what I wanted to do. Year, colon, shift space. And now this field, we will call year. So now what we're going to do is we're going to be able to pick something from a dropdown, and I want to fill some form fields with the item that I pick from the dropdown. So I'm going to need 2 business values to make this work. And this is one of the more common scenarios that you'll have for working with dropdowns and with form fields, pulling data to fill form fields. So great, I've got the fields that I need. Now I've got to go make the business values. Now remember, I need 2 of them. One, I'm going to need a business value to fill my dropdown so that the data exists. This dropdown control is an event field, and when that event fires, I am going to want to fill in the make, model, and year of my vehicle right down here at this row of fields in the table. So I'm going to do a fill dropdowns, and then I'm going to need to do a set form data, and I'm going to need business values that make both of those things happen. So we will save and close our form because that's all we can do right now. And we'll hit OK to be sure that the form is totally saved. We'll go back into our data folder, and we're just going to create a couple of business values. So the first thing we're going to do is fill the form field. So we'll call this business value name fill. Well, I always hate throwing spaces in, but you can actually put spaces in the names of process director objects. We'll call this fill vehicle DD. So this is my fill vehicle dropdown. And so we'll go there on my group and value picker. I am going to call it, you know what? I'm just going to call it 06 2026 for my group and value picker. I'm doing this to make it easy to find whenever we start applying it. And then we'll go to our fill vehicle dropdown. Now, of course, we have imported all this stuff into SQL, so we're obviously going to use a SQL data source. This is our data source that we're going to use. The reason why I limited that data source to just those 3 tables is that only these 3 tables will appear here, which is going to make my life a little easier. I don't have to worry about the thousands of tables that I have stored. So we're only going to be working with these 3 tables today, so this is all I need to worry about. So now I have to create my SQL statement, and it's a lot easier with the Monaco editor. So we are going to select ID, and then I'm going to do some I'm going to do some SQL witchery here because I have make and model. Actually, I think if I just pull model, that will be fine because I don't think any of my model names are the same. So we'll select ID model from DROM. That again, from, and this table is W06 2026 vehicles. And then I'm going to want to order by model. So I'm going to test this query. Great. Returned all 100 records. So here are my 100 records. Oh, I have two Camaros. I have two Cavaliers. Um, well, that's fine. It'll still work even with that. I am, now that I have those two fields, I am going to scroll up here and hit add columns as properties. And so that will give me my ID and model column. We're cool with that. I don't have any parameters. I am pretty much done here. So I can hit OK. Well, let's go back to my form and just make that part work. So we'll go back to our Excel data form and we'll run over here to the Fill Dropdowns tab and we'll add our dropdown. I really only have one. It's called Cars at the moment. And now I am going to fill it with my business value. So we'll go down here to Business Values and 06-2026 Fill Vehicle DD. That's my dropdown. Obviously, I'll put in my select one for my empty value, and my display text will be the model, and my value will be the ID. The ID, as I explained at the very start, is our primary key. So each ID value can only identify one and only one record that exists in the table. So by making the ID the value of this dropdown, I can now use this dropdown as a filter to pull my make, model, and year for my other fields. So we'll hit OK there, and we'll update and run real quick so we can see our form. And what do you know? There are all of our items. So I filled my dropdown. I'm a happy, happy little boy. So we're good here. Let's move on. Now let's grab that make, model, and year data out of our table. So we're going to go ahead and create new business value, if I can find business value. And we'll call this get selected vehicle. And once again, it will be 06 2026. And we'll update real quick. Then we'll go back over to our select vehicle or our configure tab. And once again, we're pulling out that data source. And now we're going to select the other items here. So we're going to select, what are we going to select? We are going to select make, model, and model year. Now, I don't like the way that it throws in the columns here. It'll work, but I prefer a specific way of spacing it. And we'll select make, model, and year from W06 2026 vehicles. And now I'm going to need a where clause. Where ID equals, and I'm going to need to pass a parameter to this business value. I haven't created a parameter yet. I don't need to. what yet, but I am going to need to make a parameter, but I do need to know what its name is. So we're just going to call this parameter. We're going to make a system variable. There is a parameter system variable. Now, I do need to be sure that whenever I am creating any parameter in any business value, I am going to need to be sure that I throw the $ in as the very first character. That creates a SQL safe encoding for whatever value gets passed to it. We want to ensure that people can't inject bad things into our SQL. So we're always going to use that $ SQL parameter. And then we'll just go with parm. And I don't know what that last end sign got in there. We'll call this parm, and we'll just call it car. And we will add a parameter and we will call it car down here. So now I have a parameter. I'm only going to pull a single vehicle because the parameter I'm going to pass is going to be the ID, and the ID only returns a single vehicle. It can only apply to a single vehicle. So I don't have to worry about the order by and all of the other stuff. It doesn't matter. But I do want to add the columns as properties up where ID equals that should be a number. So that should actually work. From where ID equals, it may be the whole ID field. I probably shouldn't have named this ID. I think that might be a reserved character in SQL. But no, it says it knows that it's an ID. So let me test the query again. Incorrect syntax near parm. Is it param? Okay, not sure what is the problem here. Oh, where ID equals blank. Oh, how about this? Let's throw in an ID and let's add columns as properties. There we go. It's not going to run because I don't have a value for that parameter. And by the way, it should be parm. That should work, right? Because it can be parm, param, parameter. So yeah, that's great. It does say incorrect syntax near parm, but it also returned a record one, Toyota Corolla 2005. So I think we're fine here. SQL validation issues. Now, did that tell me a validation issue when I hit param? I'm now, sort of testing things on my own now as I just make stuff out of whole cloth. SQL about empty string failed. There was no empty string. It was one because it returned one record. Not sure what's going on here, but I think it's working anyway. So we're just going to live with those parameter things. I'm not sure what empty string failed. Well, it's just doing validation tests. It was empty. That is failing the validation test because it's actually doing an empty test. So this is actually fine. We're doing okay. We're going to go ahead and hit OK there because in the interest of time, we need to. So now I've got get selected vehicle. So now let's go back to our form. That's a timeline. That's our, what have I done? I have placed this in the wrong folder, haven't I? I have. This needs to be moved into my data folder. Sorry about that. I just created it in the wrong place. So we'll move it there. There we go. Now we're happy. Now we've only got my form and timeline here. So now we'll go back to my form. So my fill dropdown works. We know that that works. So let's go with our set form data. We already made our cars dropdown an event field. So on the cars event, we're going to want to add an action. And we are going to want to fill the make, model, and year. So we will go with make, and we'll go back over here to business values, 0626, get selected vehicle, and we're going to pick make as our value. And we have a parameter, car. Well, we're going to set this parameter to the value of our car's form field. There we go. And we're also at this point going to go ahead and update our form. And the reason we're going to update our form is because we're using this business value. This business value is going to create its own little section on the form, and we want to add our two other fields into that section. So our make, I've already got make. So our model will go with the model property, and our year will go with the model year property. And now I can just update and run my form. And so now when I select a car, the 540i, I'm going to assume that that is a BMW 540i. And in this case, it's from 1997. So as I make changes, there's a Chevrolet Astro. I have two Camaros, apparently, a Chevrolet Camaro from 1981 and a Chevrolet Camaro from 1980. And similarly, I have two Cavaliers, a Chevy Cavalier from 96 and a Chevy Cavalier from 93. So this is maybe not the greatest way of doing this, but it is a way of doing this. I probably should have added in the model year to discriminate between those, but that's okay. Our form works. We filled our dropdown, and beyond that, we have filled form fields with our data. So now let's do something a little different, because now we want to deal with our animal drop downs, which means we are going to need to edit our form again. Oh, wait, let's be sure everything is saved. Update. Then we'll go back to edit our form. Now we are going to make two drop downs that use a filter to, we'll have one drop down, we'll select an item from that drop down, and based on our selection in that drop down, we will fill a second drop down. So we're going to have two drop downs. We're going to have family. You know what? I should also do this in a table. So we'll just go here. Let's make a couple of changes. We'll just give ourselves a space, and we'll just go with, my caps lock is on apparently, family, and we'll have a drop down that we will call family. And then we have a species field, and we will have a drop down that we call species. So what we want to do is to make, and these are both text fields, which is not going to be very helpful. So once again, we'll go with a drop down, and we'll call it family. And another drop down that we will call species. And once again, on our family drop down, we are going to want to make that an event field, simply so that we can fire an event that will refill and refilter the species drop down. So now I have two drop downs. Now I'm only doing this at two levels, but technically, and that's only because I have two tables. I mean, if you had 3 tables, you could go to 3 levels. If you had 4 tables, you could go to 4 tables. There's no end of the ways that you could do this, because once you know how to filter based on a previous filled value, you can carry this through as many levels as you need, although in most cases 2 is adequate. So we have our 2 fields. Let's figure out how we're going to fill them. Well, the first one, we already know how to do it because we did it with our vehicles. But we are going to need to create the business value that does it. So we'll go into our business, or go into our data folder. We'll create a new business value, and we will call this fill family DD. And once again, 06/2026 update. And we'll go into our configuration. We'll use our 06/2026 data source, and we can begin building our SQL query, which is going to be pretty easy. We are going to just pull the family. And by the way, we're going to pull both things. So actually, we could just go with select star, because there's only 2 fields and we need both of them. So select star from W0626 family. And I guess we'll order by family name. And that should pull our 4 records. So we'll add our columns as properties, family ID, family name. We don't have to worry about anything else. We have our data. So we're just going to hit OK. And we're going to go back over here to our form. We will go to our fill dropdowns. And now we need to add another dropdown. And in this case, it's going to be family. And once again, we're just going to use a business value. And it will be fill family. Oh, I did mess this up, didn't I? 06/20206. Well, I messed that all up. Fill family DD. Once again, select 1. Our display text will be the family name. Our value will be the family ID. Okay. Okay, we're done. We will just run the form real quick to test it, just to be sure we filled our dropdown. I did. Canidae, Felidae, Mustelidae, and Ursidae. Now we got to worry about species. How are we going to get data in there? Again, we need a business value. So we'll hit OK here. We'll go back to our data folder and create our next business value. And this we'll call fill species DD. And I didn't do the 06/2026. So we'll update that. And then we'll go over here, and now we are going to, once again, select that. Now we have our species. So we are just going to select, and we want our family ID. And then, no, we don't want our family ID yet. We are going to want it, but not yet. We're going to want our species ID. Actually, we're going to want all 3 of these fields. You know what we can do? We can just select star. We can make our life a lot easier. I need all 3 of these fields. Actually, I don't need all 3 of these fields. I do need the family ID for a filter, but I actually don't need to return it. So I do, in fact, need to return species ID and species name from our species table, where So I am going to need that where clause, where family ID equals family. And I am going to need to have that parameter, which is called family. And I'll go ahead and I'll throw one in here. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I want to add columns as properties and I want the business value to work. So there we go. Now I've got my species ID and my species name. I just have to pass it that parm family, which obviously we're going to take from our family dropdown whenever we select it. So we can now update this and go back to our form and add another dropdown. And in this case, it's going to be species. And we are going to do just like we did with the fill dropdown, something very similar. We have our business value. We have our 06206. We have our fill species DD. And there we see we have our family parameter that we have to fill. We're already here. Let's just go ahead and fill it with our family dropdown. And we can once again select one. Our display text will be the species name, and our property will be the species ID. Now, I already know I am not going to like what I see when I run this query. So something else to keep in mind that I forgot to do, and it's common to forget, and I'll show you what that problem is right now. So let's pick a family. Let's pick Canidae. Great. Actually, let's not do that. Let's run it again. Oops, not what I wanted to do. Let's run it again, because what I wanted to check was to be sure that this field was empty. And it is, but it won't be empty for long because we are going to pick Canidae. And when we do, now I got a whole bunch of dogs, but I also have another problem that is going to drive your users crazy. Dogs should come after coyotes. Jackals should come before wolves. Dingoes should come before dogs. This is all messed up. I did not order the items in my business value. Ordering the items in your business value is important. Now, it doesn't matter here because I actually entered them in alphabetical order, so I wouldn't know that this was wrong. But here I do know that it's wrong. If you're going to present a list to users, you want to present that list to them to the extent possible as an alphabetized list. So we are going to have to go back and check both of those. We're going to want to check our fill family DD. I did do it right, order by family name. They just happen to be in the right alphabetical order in my table. But if they weren't, that would fix it anyway. So that's good. However, this one is bad. So I do need to add an order by. And I need to order by the family name. By the way, one other thing that you can do inside the Monaco editor here is there's a format button. So if you click format, it puts it in nice SQL formatting for you automatically, which, I think is nice. Now we'll hit OK. And we can go back to our form. And we can run it. And this time, when I pick Canidae, when I pick Felidae, okay, I've done something wrong. Let's go back to our fill species dropdown. Select species ID, species name from our family ID equal parm family. Okay, let's test our query near parm. Species name, where, family ID. Oh, let's try that. Where family ID equals 1. All right, where by family name, where family ID equals. Okay, I thought I had it right in the first place. I'm not sure why it is failing. Order by family name. Let me get back up here. This shouldn't matter, but it just worked. And now I don't know why it isn't working. SQL syntax, incorrect error in your PARM. Uh, Incorrect syntax. So do I have it? Do I have it wrong here? Uh, Let me pull the order by. Let me test the query. It's fine. Order by. Oh, you know what? There is no field called family name in this table. That's my problem. There's a species name, and that is the field that I want. I messed it all up. Let's test her again. There we go. 7 records returned. Now I can format it all pretty and So, uh, pro tip, kids, use the right field names whenever you are setting up your SQL statement. So now that that is fixed, I should be able to go back to my SQL data form, run it, and now when I pick Canada, I should have coyotes, dole, dingoes, dogs, foxes, jackals, and wolves. Now I am cooking with gas. Everything is easy to find because everything is in alphabetical order. That is pretty cool. Question. I think it's your order by. Can't be something not in select. Yes. Thank you. You are right. You do have to actually use fields that exist in your database table. You are 100% correct, madam. All right. Let's go back to my form. Let's do something else with our form. Nice thing about business values. What time is it? 11:23. All right. We are getting close to the end of what we can do here. We're going to come down here and what in the world have I done? What is that? Whatever it is, I don't like it. Let's get rid of that, whatever it was. Let's go down here. Uh-oh. Have I lost? Okay. Well, I don't know what was going on there. I think I may have hit F12 or something. We're going to do this. Cars array. And we're going to create an array. And you know what? Let's make this a heading style. Let's make it heading 3, cars array. So we're going to set up an array and we're going to now use this Excel file to set up data in an array. We're going to try to do it 2 ways, although we are rapidly running out of time. So I'm going to have to try to make this easy. Normally, what I would do here is I would throw in array columns array column fields. I'm not. I'm just going to go make, model, and year. Again, normally I would use array column control tags there for my array. But in the interest of time, we're just going to go with an array start. It's array start 7. We'll just call it array start. And I'm going to copy that because I'm going to need it. And so right here, we are going to throw in a text field, which we are going to call make2. And then we're going to need model2. And then for year, we're going to need year2. And that should end our array. Arrays, array end. Okay, so I have an array for make, model, and year. And I want to associate some vehicles here with this array. Now, what I'm going to do is just do the simple thing. I'm just going to throw in all 100 vehicles. Probably shouldn't, but I'm gonna. Actually, I'm going to get myself a button. Let me do that. I'll give myself a button control. That way it won't always show up on the, as soon as the form loads. And we'll call this add array data. Okay, so now I have a button control that when we click, we'll add our array data. And I will save and close the form. Save, 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 close, close, close. And now I have this get selected vehicle. I'm gonna copy that. I'm gonna copy it here, and I'm gonna change it, and I'm just gonna call this get vehicles. And I am going to go here, and I'm going to remove this where column. And I'm actually going to throw in order by I will order by make, model. Oops, model. And that should, I don't need a parameter for this because I'm just going to pull all of them. Let's test our query. It should return 100 records. It did. So now I've got a business value for that. So the other thing that I can use this data for in a business value is to just fill an array. Now I'm going to do it unfiltered, but all of the stuff that we've previously done for filtering data, we can do that for an array just as we did it for our 2 dropdowns. It's all the same principle and it all works the same way. So I can update and run, and I can click. Oh, I can't click anything because I didn't configure it. I need to configure a set form data, don't I? So we now have a button 12. So I have that event. I can add an action, and now I can go with make2 and business values, get vehicles, and that's make. And I can hit OK there. And once again, I can update because I'm using a business value. I can just add my 2 other form fields here and model2 for model and year2 for year or model year in any event. And now I can update and run that. Now I should be able to hit add array data. And there we go. There are all of my vehicles ordered by, so I've got a whole bunch of Acuras. Wow, I must really like Acuras. Boy, not as much as I like Chevrolets, apparently. Um, and so there we go. There are all of my cars in order um, to fill that array automatically. Now, again, that's 100 records. It's an unfiltered array, but business values will automatically bind. Now, let's do one more thing. Yeah, it's 11:30. I think we have time to do it. I am going to go back into my form. All right, let me update. Let me go back into my form. And down here, I'm going to add a couple of fields. I am going to add an attach objects control, and I don't technically need a show attached objects, but I am going to add one, a show attached objects. Now, the reason why I created a timeline is for this purpose, so that I can configure this the way that you would normally configure attachment controls. By default, attachment controls attach attachments to the process. And that's great. Love it. But that's why I created the timeline. Sorry, lost train of thought there. But that's why I created the timeline. So we're just going to leave the normal plain vanilla configuration for our attachments. But what we are going to do is we are going to use an Excel file to actually fill data on the form. Now, I have a couple of different ways that I can go with this. But let's see if I can sneak both of these in here. I'm going to add another button. Actions button. I'm going to have to start naming buttons. Well, button. We'll call it Excel 1, and I'll have a button Excel 2 if we get here. Add single value from Excel. That is a very long button name, but it'll work. Add single value from Excel. And I'm going to go down here and I'm going to add some more fields. Actually, let's just do this. Let's go with just one field. We'll have a species field, and I have a species drop down. So we'll call this species text. So why have I done all this? Well, so far we've talked about using Excel to import into Process Director and to actually make a database in Process Director. But we can actually do something different on a form. What we're going to do is we're going to use a fill fields from Excel custom task, and we're going to grab stuff out of an Excel spreadsheet and we're going to stick it into a form field. And I can do it one of two ways. I can do it by a single field or I can do it by an array. We have 26 minutes. I'm going to try to do both of those things in the next 26 minutes. And I'm going to go ahead and add the controls that I need right now while I'm here instead of going back and forth. So this will be button Excel 2 and add Excel to an array. This is cell. Okay, add Excel to array. And I am going to do a quick and dirty array here. Usually we do this in a table, but I am going to do it like this. And we will have these text 2, and there's a space there, which is not allowed. So species text 2. And then I am just going to put my array end control right there. Like I said, this should be in a table. You know what? Let's put it in a table just to be safe. So table, insert table. I have forgotten how to insert a table. There we go. So I need one row and one column. And there, we can throw that back in. Now it's in a table. Now I feel happy. So species text 2. So what we're going to do, like I said, is we are going to upload an Excel file. And then we're going to invoke a custom task to take data out of that Excel file that's used as a file attachment. We're going to add it to this field. And then we're going to do the same kind of thing, but we're going to add it to an array. So let's go ahead and save and close our form. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this file right here, and it's got 2 worksheets in it. I may have to do some witchery to handle 2 worksheets, but for right now, let's update our form. Well, it says it's been checked in. And let's go to our custom task event mapping, and we'll go into the documents section and fill fields from Excel, and we will add that custom task. And so on our button Excel 1, we're going to add a single value. So let's configure our Excel file. We're going to use a reference. It is going to be a timeline reference because it is going to be an attachment. And we are going to map our species text field to, I could do this a couple of ways. I could do it from a range. I can do it from a cell. We're going to do it from a cell. And what we are going to do, we don't need to set that. We will, though. We'll set it to all. And yes, the problem is that I have 2 fields here. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to save this, save as, and I'm going to save it as animal data 2. So it is not going to be the same spreadsheet. And I am going to remove that worksheet. And I guess I really don't need that either. And so here is my table in animal data 2, which once again, we are going to save. So I'm just going to pull the species, and I'm going to want to pull wolves. So that is going to be cell B4 in my spreadsheet. Now, if you know what is going to be in cell B4 in your spreadsheet, good luck to you. But we're going to call this cell B4, and we're going to set species text with that. We are going to use the all group name because I didn't apply a group name to any of this. My data does have headers. That doesn't really matter now because we are not pulling in, we're not pulling it in as an array. This will be important in a minute. For right now, I don't think we care much one way or another, and we don't have to worry about clearing rows when filling an array because we're not at the array part yet. So now let's update and run our form. And I'm going to add my single value from Excel. I'm going to hold my, oh, well, there is no Excel file. You know what you have to have before you can add a single file from Excel? You have to have a document. So let's upload our document. So we are going to browse to downloads. I think Animal Data 2 is my spreadsheet. We are going to upload it. There we go. Now it exists as an attachment on my form. And do I have to submit it first or not? I am going to submit it and add my single value from Excel. There we go. Now I've got wolves. By the way, if you set this attachment control to the form instead of the process timeline, you'd be able to use it before you submitted the form. But again, this is why I created that one timeline activity. I'm in that timeline activity. I hit add single value from Excel. We wanted it to see wolves and we got wolves. And now we want to add Excel to an array. So we're going to do the same sort of thing here. We are going to, once again, go to our documents and we're going to pick fill fields from Excel and add that custom task. But this time we are going to go with button Excel 2. And now we will configure it to work as an array. So once again, we're going to go with references and timeline references. And our form control is going to be species text 2, which is part of an array. Now, notice that when I changed it to an array field, this custom task automatically swapped off to a column. And we want column B to fill out this array, but there's a couple of other things that we have to do. Now here we don't really care about this. We didn't pick a group name, so it will default to all. I will set it just for general purposes. But now the advanced tab is important because my data does have headers. Now we are not going to check the do not clear rows. Oh, actually, we are going to check the do not clear rows. So I'm going to show you what happens when this is checked, because if it wasn't checked, I could click the button multiple times and you wouldn't see what happened. So we are going to check this do not clear rows. And we're going to hit OK, and we're going to update and run. And once again, we are going to upload our document, but this time we're going to do it first. Then we're going to go ahead and submit. And now when we click add single value, we still get wolves. And when we hit add Excel to an array, we get all of our stuff. Those are all of our species that are in our table. Now, I checked the do not clear. So we got to be careful here, because now that I've clicked this button, if I click it again, I now have many more things. And if I keep clicking it, it will just keep adding items to my array. So that one little checkbox, kind of important, so that we don't duplicate all of our data. So normally, you wouldn't want that turned on. You would want to clear the rows when you filled the array, so that now when we update and run, actually, I don't have to update and run. I submitted it. Where was that form instance? Oh, wait, let's hit OK. Let's be sure we're saved. So let's look at that form instance. That was 2 form instances ago. This one, because we didn't fill the array. Now we can fill our value from Excel. Wolves were great. Now we add Excel to an array. Great. We get everything from dogs to black bears. And if I hit add Excel to array again, we still only get dogs to black bears. Now it did refill the array. That did occur, but it overwrote the existing data. It didn't append. So that one little checkbox is kind of important. But if I want data in Excel, I don't want to import it into Process Director. I just want to have to be able to upload it to a form and to be able to pull data out of that form, then I can certainly do that using the fill fields from Excel custom task. So in most cases, you will not use this custom task, but it does exist. It is pretty cool. It does allow you to pull data out of an Excel file. In most cases, I think you would be filling an array like this. I don't think you would be. I think the number of times, and this is not universally true, but remember when we configured this, we said we wanted field B4. And we knew, because we looked at our data before we configured this, that the value of the field in B4 was wolves. I'm not entirely sure how often you'll know what values go in a specific cell in your Excel workbook. But if you do, you have the ability of uploading an Excel file and just pulling those values. Where it really does help, however, is if you're dealing with like a single record that comes out in Excel and you upload that, and then it just automatically fills from that single record in Excel, in which case you would know that you wanted, B1, B2, B3, B4, and it would be able to pull that data because you know the formatting of the data, then you can reliably set it up that way. If you don't know the formatting of your data, then obviously that becomes a lot more problematic. But doing it in the array becomes a lot easier because you generally know at least what is in the columns of your Excel spreadsheet. Well, I managed to get through all of that in 2 hours. I'm very proud of myself. Thank you for joining me today. I appreciate the fact that you did, and I'll look forward to seeing you again next time. So long.